What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Sands of Time here with another episode of Sands and Friends podcast. Today we have the Week 8 College Rundown Recap, baby. We had our game of the week. That was Georgia, number 5 at number 1 Texas. And we had our first upset of the day as Georgia took down Texas 30-15. I had Texas winning 27-24, but that is one pick that I lost. So coming into the week, we had our pick 10 games where I picked the top 10 for you to win. This week, we went 8-2. 8-2 on straight up, and we went 4-6 against the spread this week. So making some improvements. Almost had all 10 for you. Almost had all 10. But going through the game of the week, like I said, I had Texas to win, but Georgia won 30-15. So we lost that straight up and lost the spread. But Trevor Etienne had 3 touchdowns on the day to lead Georgia to victory over Texas. Number 2, Oregon. They traveled to Purdue to play Purdue Boilermakers. I had Oregon 52-7. Oregon won 35-0. So Dylan Gabriel had 290 yards passing and 2 TDs on the day. Jordan James had 2 TDs rushing to lead Oregon in the victory. Miami was the third game. Had Miami to win 31-27 over Louisville. They won 52-45. Cam Moore 319 yards passing on the day. For Teddy Boys, you had Damian Martinez running for 89 yards and that one bruising touchdown to seal the game. You had Samuel Brown had 3 catches, 125 yards and a touchdown. That is about 40 yards average. 40 yards average. Can we say speed? Speed. And they got FSU. My FSU boys, we in trouble. Oh, Lord. Tyler Shaw had 342 passing and 4 TDs for Louisville. Ja'Cory Brooks had 107 yards and 2 TDs for Louisville in the loss. We had Tennessee against Alabama. I picked Tennessee to win 28-21 over Bama. Tennessee won 24-17 over Bama. So 7-point spread, and I was right. Dylan Sampson, 139 yards, 2 TDs on the day rushing for Tennessee. Nico Amalava, 194 yards and a TD. You had Jaden Milroe with 2 INTs on the day. Costly. Ryan Williams found the end zone 1 time in the loss. Had that game correct. LSU over Arkansas, I had that 28-24. LSU beat Arkansas 34-10. Caden Durham had 3 rushing touchdowns for the Tigers, 101 rushing yards. You had Garrett Nussmeier, 233 yards passing on the day with no touchdowns to lead LSU to victory over the visiting Razorbacks. We had Iowa State against UCF. I had Iowa State 27, UCF 13, Iowa State 38, UCF 35. So we lost the spread on that one, but Iowa State did get the win, so we got that straight up. Rocco Beck did it all, 97 rushing yards and 2 Teddy Boys. And he passed for 274 yards and another Teddy Boy. Jalen Noel had 8 catches, 153 yards. He did not receive one of those touchdowns, though. You had R.J. Harvey leading UCF with 196 rushing yards and 2 TDs in the loss for the Golden Knights. We got that one right. We had Clemson. I had them to win 31-21 over Virginia. They beat Virginia 48-31. Cade Klubnik, 308 yards, 3 TDs. Phil Maffa, 2 TDs rushing for Clemson. Yeah, Anthony Colandrea with 2 TDs passing in the loss for Virginia. Moving right along, we had Notre Dame. I had them to be in a close one against Georgia Tech, 31-28. Georgia Tech couldn't even score against that Notre Dame defense. Notre Dame got their 31, but Georgia Tech had 13. So Riley Leonard had 2 touchdowns for the Irish, and Adon Schuler had a 36-yard interception return for a touchdown for the defense for Notre Dame. We got that score correct. We had Nebraska. I had Nebraska over Indiana 28-24, but Indiana said, oh, how wrong are thee? How wrong are thee, Sands of Friends? Indiana 56-7. Wasn't even close. Wasn't even close. Justice Ellison, the running back for Indiana, had 105 rushing yards and 2 TDs as 7, count it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different Hoosiers scored a touchdown in the game. Amazing. Trounce, Nebraska. We missed that one. That was the 2 games we missed. Kansas State, the final one was Kansas State. We had them to win 35-28 over West Virginia. Kansas State all over West Virginia, 45-18. Avery Johnson, 298, 3 TDs passing. DJ Giddens, 2 TDs on the ground. And Jaden Jackson, 2 catches, 84 yards, and a touchdown. Those were our pick 10. We went 8-2. We got all the games right except Texas and Nebraska. All the rest of the games we got right, straight up. Told you, straight up. Going into the best of the rest, we had Colorado beat Arizona 34-7. Shedeur passed for 250 and 2 TDs in the win. And LeJontay Wester, 8 catches, 127 yards, led the receiving corps as Colorado bounced Arizona. Memphis beat North Texas 52-44. You had Mario Anderson Jr. be the star in that one, 183 rushing yards and 4 TDs on the ground. Mario Anderson Jr. Remember the name. Georgia Southern over James Madison 28-14. We had J.C. French for Georgia Southern with 215 yards passing and 3 TDs, while Jalen White had 134 rushing yards in the game as Georgia Southern beat James Madison. We got Toledo over Northern Illinois 13-6. Jerwan Newton scored the only TD in that game as Toledo beat Northern Illinois 13-6. Louisiana Raging Cajuns 34. Coastal Carolina 24. Ben Wooldridge had 373 yards passing with 3 TDs and 1 rushing TD in the victory for Louisiana Raging Cajuns. Then we had Cincinnati 24. Arizona State 14. Brendan Sorsby had 2 touchdowns in the win. Moving right into our small school spotlights. We had to shine a light on 3 FCS games this week. We had number 1 versus number 2 in FCS as North Dakota State was number 2. They beat number 1 South Dakota State 13-9. So they'll probably flip-flop positions. North Dakota State will probably go to 1. South Dakota State will probably drop to 2. But Cam Miller had 2 TD passes for North Dakota State in the game. And Raja Nelson, caught them both. Okay, Chase Mason had 80 yards and a TD for South Dakota State, okay, in the loss. So North Dakota State wins that. Then you had eyes on Dayton and Butler. Dayton beats Butler 21-14 as Drew Van Vliet throws for 3 TDs in the game, and Luke Brennan had 2 receiving touchdowns on the day. Reagan Andrew had 87 rushing yards for Butler and a TD, but it wasn't enough as they could not avoid the streak of the losing kind. Butler has now lost 2 in a row after starting 5-0. We got Richmond. They took down Delaware 28-9, knocked Delaware from the ranks of the unbeaten as Camden Coleman 194 yards passing and 2 touchdowns, also adding 79 yards rushing on the day and a rushing touchdown. Nick DiGennaro had 81 receiving yards and a TD for the Richmond Spiders, and Phil Lutz had 93 receiving and a TD for Delaware. Ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for tuning in to the recap. We had to recap all that action, let you know what happened, and that's what happened, guys. Sorry it had to be rushed, but hey, that was our college rundown for week 8 recap, okay? Stay tuned later in the week for week 9, where we're going to get 9 out of those 10. We got 8. Our overall record is 21-9. Straight up, and 7-23 against the spread. Lord, fix it, Jesus. Y'all come back and see me again. Love y'all. Peace.